this occasion. You alone, O Allah, can give people the wisdom, the courage, and intelligence to talk and effectively teach and learn matters of your deen and its cultures in a challenging environment of the kind we live in today. We beseech you, Allah, to continue exposing our country to the true spirit of labor and employment equally among the people of Uganda, and to guide the world by this spirit of and scripture for lasting peace, security, and progress. Give us the trust and integrity so we may keep our allegiance to this nation for better generations to come. Let us grow a wellspring of high values, insights, and energy from this occasion for the enhancement for social unity and the establishment of collective faith against all kinds of evil and misdemeanor. Empower us, O Allah, through this occasion to turn the history of the people of this country and beyond from position of weakness to that of strength. We ask for capacity to see and appreciate each other as brothers and sisters. Accord us minds and hearts that are open to hearing the voice of leaders who will bring us closer to a secured national stability. Oh Lord, protect and guide our President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, his family members, the government, ministers, and all our administrators and entire Ugandan community who will foster for a successful employment campaign in the interest of our non-employed brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. We beseech you, Allah, to accept our prayer and grant us deliberations in this occasion, the entire blessing it calls for, by your grace and mercy. In the name of Allah, we pray for God and my country. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Let's welcome all of you, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Your Lordship, the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Lordship, the Deputy Chief Justice, the Right Honorable First Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers and Ministers of State here present, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, Honorable Members of Parliament here present, Justices of the Industrial Court, Head of Public Service and Secretary to Cabinet. We have a representative of the CDF, who is also the UPDF Commander for the Air Force. We have a representative of the Inspector General of Police, Assistant Inspector General of Police, Andrew Sorwen. We also have the Commissioner General of Police here present, permanent secretaries, the religious leaders are represented, the representatives of the workers and employers, all of you distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Agre David Chivenge, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, And I take this opportunity to welcome you, Your Excellency, and thank you for accepting to officiate at these Labor Day celebrations. Your Excellency, today we join the rest of the world to celebrate the Labor Day, and we are here to honor the Ugandan workers. Your Excellency, as COVID-19 is still a national and global challenge, we decided to hold this year's celebrations in a scientific way, as was the case last year. And I would like to invite all of you to thank His Excellency the President for accepting to host these celebrations here at State House in Entebbe. The theme of this year's celebration was deliberately or carefully selected to be enhancing innovation for increased employment creation and labor productivity, a sustainable COVID-19 response. And Your Excellency, during this function, we shall have remarks from the representatives of the workers and the employers, from the Honorable Minister responsible for gender, labor, and social development. We will request your indulgence, Your Excellency, before the Honorable Minister addressing us, to have Her Excellency Rose Malango to read a solidarity or to present a solidarity statement, after which, Your Excellency, you will address the workers of this country and the nation at large, and at the end launch the National Action Plan for Elimination of Child Labor in Uganda 2021 to 2025. I once again warmly welcome everyone. Please feel at home as we celebrate the Workers' Day. Your Excellency, as a member of the International Labour Organization, Government of Uganda values social dialogue amongst government, employers and workers on issues of labor, employment and productivity. And with us today, I would like to invite the representative of the workers and those of the employers, and we'll begin with the workers with Dr. Engineer Silver Mugisha making a statement on this day, after which we will have a representative of the workers. They've agreed, the Secretary General of COFTU, Honorable Dr. Lyomoki, will make that statement, and then we will proceed with the program as agreed. Engineer Silver Mugisha.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Your Lordship, the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Deputy Prime Ministers, religious, traditional, and cultural leaders present, the General Secretary of the NRM, the Leader of Opposition in Parliament, Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, Honorable Members of Parliament present, all employers and workers, distinguished guests, the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is with great pleasure, Your Excellency, that today we join the rest of the world to celebrate the International Labour Day, a day that we recognize and appreciate the efforts of all workers around the world. On behalf of the Federation of Uganda Employers and on my own behalf, I take this opportunity to congratulate all the working people from various sectors, especially health, manufacturing, construction, agriculture, transportation, insurance, and security organs who have worked tirelessly in this challenging period of COVID-19 pandemic. I would also like to extend my appreciation to the employers who made it possible for workers to remain at work. It has not been easy. Some employers were forced to reduce the number of employees, some resorted to pay cuts, and some were forced to close their businesses. The new normal is here with us. At the same time, Your Excellency, I would like to offer my highest salutations to all model workers and exemplary individuals who have made exceptional contributions toward socio-economic, political, religious, and environmental reforms in our country. By honoring model workers, Your Excellency, and exemplary individuals around the country, we aim at encouraging and motivating workers to be more innovative and productive in whatever they do at their workplaces. Above all else, we would like to appreciate the exemplary leadership of Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and the Minister of Health, who made it possible for all of us to minimize negative health impacts of the pandemic. Your Excellency, the theme of this year's celebration is enhancing innovation to increase the employment creation and labor productivity, a sustainable COVID-19 response. The theme is very fitting for today's Labor Day celebrations, given the situation we are currently facing. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to expound on the theme of today. Your Excellency, innovation is essential to the continued success of any organization, especially during this time of crisis. This is because a lot of things will change or have already changed, so we have to approach business in a different way. On the employment front, the ILO estimates that COVID-19 crisis is expected to wipe out 6.7% of working hours globally, which is equivalent to 195 million full-time workers. Sectors at high risk include tourism, hospitality, manufacturing, retail, business, and administrative services. Thus, the future of jobs will depend largely on the innovative measures that shall be adopted by workers, employers, and government. Your Excellency, I would like to specifically applaud you for this idea of the parish development model. It is extremely important for us as the Federation of Uganda Employers in three respects. First of all, this strategy will increase raw materials. These raw materials will definitely enhance industrial production. And us, as the Federation of Uganda Employers, we shall have more employers created, and that will definitely increase our membership as a federation. It will increase consumption. When people become rich, if their household incomes increase, the people's capacity to buy things will be enhanced, and therefore the employers will have a lot of benefit from there, as well as the country. The value addition element, which is in that strategy, will also increase the scope for more employers. And we are the federation, we see a lot of scope for membership. The only thing we request you, Your Excellency, is to give us opportunity, because everywhere in the world, good ideas tend to struggle at implementation stage. And we think the Federation of Uganda Employers can be relevant on the issue of implementation of this very good strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all aware the pandemic led to suspension of most of the economic activities, especially for travel and tour agencies, hotels, bars, restaurants, international conferencing and summits, retail trade, leisure, hospitality, and so forth. It is therefore very true that enhancing innovation for increased employment creation and labor productivity is the only sustainable way of responding to COVID. And Your Excellency, the idea of directing efforts to the real economy is a very good idea, so that economies like that of Uganda can be more resilient to effects of COVID-19. Creating and retaining more jobs in our companies involves a range of external factors, as well as growth and innovation to improve competitiveness, both at company, sector, and national levels. Innovation changes in products, processes, market, and other aspects of businesses can help companies adapt to changing circumstances, add value, and become more competitive, and increase job creation potential. Your Excellency, as I come towards the end, I come from National Water and Sewerage Corporation. And one of the things which I've got from experience is there are very good ideas employers have. I remember one time, Your Excellency, we came here as a National Water and presented to you the 100% service coverage acceleration project. You saw it as a good idea and endorsed it. And because of your endorsement, it was able to go through the other administrative approvals. Because of that, you gave us 30 billion per annum to augment our own internally generated resources. And we've been able, in the last 4 years, to increase the number of kilometers of pipes from 13,000 kilometers to 20,000 kilometers. With just 30 billion per annum, we have managed to increase our network by half, by 50% of what it has been ever since Uganda started. Now we have cities which have been created. They are going to put a lot of pressure on the resources of the country to match the water supply demands. We already have an idea of how we can increase water production for all these cities without referring to the donors. And we only need to have an opportunity to meet you, Your Excellency, present it to you, and we see how we can use our own internal resources with some small boost from government so that we can overcome the challenge of water without going to the donors. Because the donors are good, but they tend to limit innovation in reducing investment costs. So if we have an opportunity to meet you, I've already discussed with the board, we should be able to discuss this. And there are so many companies which are doing well, which only need a boost, a nod from at your level so that things can go ahead. The Federation of Uganda Employers, Your Excellency, is working with its partners and the government to promote employment creation and labor productivity in the country. We applaud the government for establishing the National Employment Council, which is currently overseeing the development of the National Employment Strategy. In partnership with our partners like TINCA, we shall continue building the capacity of employers on innovation and labor productivity to ensure that we create more jobs. Maybe the last thing, Your Excellency, the employers have told me that the limitations of the curfew is a hindrance to the operations. Maybe it is an issue that could be reviewed so that there is more enabling for employers to do their work. We appreciate what employers and workers do on a daily basis and the impact it has on our society. We salute them for their efforts. As we travel to our homes and offices, we should keep reminding ourselves that enhancing innovation for increased employment creation and labor productivity is the best way we can use to respond to COVID-19. I thank you, Your Excellency. I thank everybody. Together for Employers, I'm Dr. Silva Mugisha, Chairman, Federation of Uganda Employers. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, all our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite Honorable Dr. Sam Liomoki, who will make a statement on behalf of the workers of this country.
Your Excellency, the President of Uganda, Your Excellency, the Vice President, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Your Lordship, the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers, Your Excellency, the Ambassadors and High Commissioners, cultural leaders, Honorable Members of Parliament, the Federation of Uganda Employers, and the other employers, brothers and sisters in the labor movement, religious leaders, and the civil society organization leaders, workers in all societies of the country, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The Central Organization of Free Trade Unions, COFTU, and the National Organization of Trade Unions, NOTU, wish to salute all the working people of Uganda for their hard work, dedication, commitment, and industrial peace on this occasion when we commemorate the International Labour Day. Your Excellency, I thank you for steering the country through the just concluded general elections where you emerged the winner for presidency for the next 5 years. Congratulations. I also congratulate you as the NRM Party Chairman for the landslide victory of the party members at all levels of governance. As workers, we are confident that you, as a seasoned ship captain, will steer the government well and maintain harmony, tranquility, security, and peace, which have been guaranteed to the citizens of Uganda for decades. Your Excellency, I have some few points on behalf of the workers. The first one, Your Excellency, is contribution of labor to national transformation. As a workers' movement, we will continue to unlock our energies towards national transformation, and I would like to hail the tireless efforts of the leaders of the two workers' federations and the 47 labor unions that have made this milestone possible. There are already success stories of the critical role of labor, of organized labor, that has been documented in several areas. We shall continue, Your Excellency, organizing workers in labor unions and working through the labor unions and organize labor to reform the worker culture and ethics, enhance skills, improve industrial relations and workers' productivity and welfare, and empower and transform the working people economically. This, Your Excellency, will not enable us to generate a critical mass of productive, value-based workers, labor unions, and labor union leaders of integrity and exceptional organizational efficacy. As labor federations, Your Excellency, we have innovated several systems and structures for the delivery of package of programs for workers in education, organizing social justice and legal aid, economic empowerment and information services, in order to improve the standard of living of ordinary work in Uganda. Your Excellency, we need to use labor unions, schools, community centers, churches, mosques, and all available infrastructure and space to generate a citizenry that prefer performance instead of pronouncements, expertise and competence instead of title, posturing and position, and bold developmental initiatives instead of seeking handouts as an answer to hunger and destitution. Your Excellency, on this day finds us again still grappling with challenges of COVID-19. I wish to thank Your Excellency for the sharing and 41,000 and only 300 deaths in 1 year, when the situation in other countries is worse, is a testament of strategy, able leadership, hard work, and God's hand on our country. We also thank the efforts you also thank the efforts that you have secured a vaccine for Ugandans, starting with the vulnerable groups. As workers leaders, Your Excellency, we pledge our commitment towards mobilizing workers and Ugandans to the response. And we thank all the other institutions, Parliament and Ministry of Health and others that have been able to make this possible. We also appreciate government's efforts towards compensation programs from some workers and sections of society. However, we request that this compensation plan is rolled out to all categories of workers who have been affected. We know that this pandemic has created challenges, but we also know, Your Excellency, that there are great opportunities that we can take advantage of in this pandemic. This year's Labour theme, the theme for this Labour Day is enhancing innovation for increased employment creation and labour productivity, a sustainable COVID-19 response. It is a very relevant theme. COVID-19 pandemic presents a new normal, where innovation becomes key in both employment creation and labour productivity. As workers, we are at the center of implementation of the National Development Plan 3 and National Transformation. The workers should continue to be involved in the tripartite arrangement to contribute towards all the facets of that plan. And we also want to give our view that we need to overhaul the education system, the education curriculum, because, Your Excellency, from our consensus among the working people, the labour markets need an innovative breed of workers and critical thinkers that the current education curriculum can't produce. So we need a complete overhaul of our education system, a paradigm shift of sorts, so that critical thinking skills and value systems are emphasized more than just theoretical mind flooding. We need to increase internship opportunities and avoid common user facilities and infrastructure. We need to improve access to low-interest loans and grants to micro and small-scale entrepreneurs. We need to emphasize research and development. We need to improve ICT accessibility by decreasing the cost of internet connectivity, boost commercial agriculture, agribusinesses, agro-processing and industry, boost the service industry, and decrease the cost of electricity. Your Excellency, on labor externalization, Uganda exports labor and earns as much as $1.4 billion annually through remittances. However, Your Excellency, there are limited frameworks for monitoring the implementation of labor commitments and processes from the different regional bodies. The Diaspora Services Department, Your Excellency, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, works towards harnessing external labor's contribution to national development and not to cater for their well-being. The Ministry responsible for labor has tried to establish some policies, but still workers die at the hands of their employers. Others have been sexually harassed, while others have been subjected to inhumane treatment. We therefore pray, Your Excellency, that additional measures through legislation are done, that we could have labor touches in different points of labor externalization, so that we can make labor opportunities safer, generate capacity for effective negotiation with the government, and enhance capacity for individual workers' growth. And as workers, Your Excellency, we also request for support to carry out pre-departure, readmission and reintegration induction programs for the departing and returning workers in order to enforce best practices. Your Excellency, we also need to harness the population dividend for strategic labor. Uganda is experiencing a large population dividend. The younger population, the very younger population that continue having very young population coming into labor to provide abundant and cheap labor. When properly harnessed, Your Excellency, we can generate a rise in the rate of economic growth and a higher output per capita due to a rising share of working age people in the population. Hence, the country shall have savers and taxpayers other than dependents, and we can also be able to mobilize money for development. However, Your Excellency, the younger population needs to be equipped with globally competitive skills, relevant knowledge, Your Excellency, and positive attitudes to address critical skill gaps. There should be a deliberate effort to reduce technology deficiency, lack of creativity in labor force during the Vision 2040 period. As the labor movement, Your Excellency, we request to be involved in skilling and tooling of the labor force through internships on job life and hand-on skill acquisition, mentorship, appropriate skilling programs, among others, through a well-thought-out national planning effort, and we have provided the recommendations on this matter. We request the government to provide common user facilities like audio-visual recording studios, sports training centers, business incubation centers, joint agro-processing and extraction machinery, which can work as infrastructure for youth productivity, especially in the informal economy. The government should invest in sports, recreation centers, creativity, and the agro-processing programs that could be able to be taken advantage of the younger people, and also to create certain space for innovation and also for mind change. Your Excellency, as I wind up, I have just some few points that I will try to be brief. On salary enhancement, Your Excellency, we have the collective bargaining agreement, and we thank the government for this agreement and for the law that has allowed negotiation. However, we also note that this agreement is doing badly in terms of implementation, and we request Your Excellency that we can be able to go ahead and implement what has been discussed for a long time, an independent salaries board, in order to determine salaries for everyone who draws money from the consolidated fund. Your Excellency, in terms of effective implementation of workers, we appreciate efforts of government in having workers' representation in parliament and also in other structures, especially the districts. But we have also noted, Your Excellency, that since 1986, this representation has remained static, while for the other colleagues, other interest groups, the representation has grown. For instance, in 1986, we had 33 districts and 33 district women representatives, but now we have 146. And therefore, the number has increased from 36 to 146. That's about several times, about fivefold. But for the workers, it has remained the same. And yet, at that time, we had 6 billion people working, but currently we have only up to 16 million. So there's been an increment. And therefore, Your Excellency, with the astronomical development in industry, agriculture, investment infrastructure, among others, implementations have also increased, but also the need for effective monitoring. We therefore need Your Excellency to request that representation in Parliament for workers be increased from 5 to 10, and also that representation also take place in other lower structures. I'm ending with some two issues that have been critical to the workers during this season. The first one is the minimum wage and the economic cost. I know, Your Excellency, that this issue has consistently appeared in our speeches, and now I think it appears stale. And I know that sometimes you're not happy with us when we raise this matter. But Your Excellency, permit me to give some views from the workers on this matter, and we call upon the government to accept this concept. Your Excellency, there was a thinking in the past that in order to facilitate investment, we didn't need to have good labor standards because they would impede economic efficiency and market flexibility in terms of having cheap laborers, and that thinking used to operate several years ago. But Your Excellency, that thinking has long been abandoned by the rest of the developed world, but its hangover still manifests here in Uganda and other pure countries, and this leads to a situation where we continue sustaining development in rich countries. How? Because the thinking of having poor quality workers creates a vicious circle. On one hand, where workers, for instance in Uganda and other developing countries, have very low morale, low motivation, low productivity, and poor quality products and services, that in turn create very low domestic, international markets, arising up to reduced purchasing power and low quality products of goods respectively. Yet on the other hand, the raw materials produced by poorly paid labor in poor countries are transformed into finished high quality products by highly paid workers in developed countries and sold expensively in world markets. So the process, that situation leads to poverty on our side, while there's profit approximation on the other side. And therefore, Your Excellency, we need to break that curse on development on Uganda and other. We also know, Your Excellency, that a wrongly fixed minimum wage can have issues, but we think there should be a balance so that we can be able to have motivation and we have a situation that supports our country. Closely linked to that, Your Excellency, is the issue of decent work. We know, Your Excellency, that core labor standards, decent work, and good jobs are prerequisites for improving innovations, heightened productivity, and improved competitiveness in the now global world. And there is established evidence that total direct inflows, FDIs, it has been long established that total foreign direct inflows yield no evidence to the effect that foreign investors favor countries with low labor standards. To the contrary, Your Excellency, labor standards are positive ingredients of economic development. There is corroborative evidence that countries pursuing active labor market policies have a better record with regard to employment levels. Countries which strengthen their core labor standards increase economic growth and efficiency by raising skills levels in the workforce and by creating an environment which encourages innovation and higher productivities. While countries scoring high on social institutions are top performers when it comes to employment and income growth, job quality, equity, and the quality of life index, as opposed to countries that contribute low wage levels, minimal or no unionization, and low on Indian enforced regulation. So a time-tested principle, Your Excellency, has been that the application of recent work agenda accelerates innovation, which leads to employment creation, job recovery, and sustainable development. The last point, Your Excellency, is about the National Social Security Fund Amendment Bill. This bill was passed, Your Excellency, and passed to you for normally for assent and guidance. And we really want to thank Your Excellency at this moment, because you have always been on the side of workers, as testified by your good guidance in favor of reforming the Social Security by way of amending the NSF Act, other than introducing a new liberalization framework that the economic hitmen were orchestrating at that time. And we really want to thank you, Your Excellency, for this. However, yes, we now have a standoff. We have generated consensus and agreement on all provisions other than two critical areas. The first one is the 20% midterm access, and the second one is the issue of dual supervision of the fund by both the ministries responsible for labor and finance, because of the social security aspects and economic aspects with respect. And this was a balance, Your Excellency, that was guided by Cabinet. Your Excellency, I know there have been many submissions on this matter from various lessons, including ourselves, who have written to you, have engaged with you, and others. However, we are confident and trust that just like the story in the Bible, where two women appeared before King Solomon, disputing over a baby, prompted the king to invoke extraordinary wisdom. Your Excellency's wisdom, intuition, and guidance shall resolve this riddle. We accordingly reiterate the local standing prayer from the workers that you assent to that bill and appropriate legislations also be made to activate it. If there are issues still, Your Excellency, we request that kindly you can engage with us and guide us if there are some issues that, according to your wisdom, there are still some bit of analysis. We are available, we are ready, but we request that this matter is being, a lot of other players are not so honest who are coming to you, and some of them who have more access to you, this from the interest of the workers, they are looking at this from a very negative interest. And we rely, Your Excellency, on your wisdom and your goodness for the workers. Lastly, there is an outstanding pledge to the workers made in several years ago. I know, Your Excellency, you have been directing your technical people to handle, and therefore I was a bit hesitant to raise it, but I've been told that I raise it to you because sometimes things stay in the pipeline for a longer time, and sometimes they can even come and sometimes they go somewhere else. So, Your Excellency, we are still waiting, and COFTU and NOTU are still waiting for that the pledge. I will not go into the details, and I know you have been talking about it and directing your people. We request further that you go ahead and find out why it has not reached us. May God bless Your Excellency. May God bless Uganda. May the God bless all the people who work for God and workers, solidarity forever, solidarity COFTU, solidarity NOTU, for God and my country. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Sam Ndiomoki, the Secretary General of COFTU. Your Excellency, these unions agreed to alternate playing that role, and this year it is COFTU making that statement. Next year, God willing, it will be NOTU. But in our presence, Your Excellency, permit me to acknowledge the presence of the Chairman General of NOTU, Asha Wilson Owere, as well as Milton Turiareva, who is Chairman General of COFTU. They are in the process of changing leadership. But also to acknowledge the presence of the Secretary General of NOTU, who is now a Honorable Member of Parliament, Honorable Peter Werike. Your Excellency, Peter Werike was elected as Member of Parliament to represent Bubulo West, Manafa District on the NRM ticket. Having said that, I would like Your Excellency to invite Her Excellency Rose Malango, the UN Resident Coordinator, who will make a statement in solidarity with the workers of this country, after which Honorable Florence Nachuala Chiinji will come and take over and welcome you, the Minister, and we get to the apex of this event.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Your Lordship, the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable First Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic, Honorable Ministers present, representatives of the workers and employee organizations, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the United Nations in Uganda, I'm delighted to be here for the National Commemoration of International Labor Day. Let me begin by expressing our solidarity with all workers and renewing our commitment to work with workers, employers, the government, and partners towards safe and secure working environments in both the public and private sector. Your Excellency, we applaud your leadership and commitment towards preventing the spread of the COVID-19 virus in Uganda and keeping workers safe while the production and other economic and development activities continue. We also commend the Ministry of Health for working closely with partners to ensure the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccines, protecting frontline workers, humanitarian workers, and other priority groups. As mentioned by the UN Secretary General, no one is safe until everyone is safe. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 at the global level now joins climate change, violence against women and children, youth unemployment, irregular migration, and excessive use of force in law enforcement as the critical challenges of our time. If we are to achieve prosperity and strategic security for all, we need a human-centered economic growth model that has access to justice and equality for all at its epicenter. We need a labor force that has the skills, the incentives, the protections, and the values to succeed. This year's celebration comes at a time when the COVID-19 pandemic has created an urgent need to change service delivery and accountability for all. So as we implement the NDP3 and the Sustainable Development Goals, as we focus on programs for agro-industrialization, tourism, manufacturing, services, and the digital economy, we require an innovative and inclusive approach to work. We must ensure we follow clear principles and values in the workplace as we create jobs. There should be no child labor. Women should be safe at the workplace. There should be no corruption. Workers should be paid for the value of their work. And young employers should be supported as they become job creators. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ubuntu Mulamo values of integrity, Obwesimbu, transparency, Obwerofu must guide our efforts at all times. Now, allow me to take this opportunity to reiterate our call for more robust investment and bolstering ethical recruitment policies and preventing the exploitation of Ugandan workers, both at home and abroad. At this time, Uganda's development financing pathways includes taxes from those working at home, but it also includes remittances from those working abroad. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Uganda has experienced a significant growth in remittances, from $238 million in the year 2000 to $1.4 billion in 2019. This is equivalent to 3.6% of the GDP, more than half the size of ODA, and larger than the FDI received at that time. The question is, what can we do to protect Ugandan migrant workers so that they may continue to help improve the quality of life of their families, invest in local development, and still retain their safety and dignity? IOM, a member of the UN family, is working with the government, particularly through the Ministry of Gender and Social Development and other partners in this area, focusing on the prevention of exploitation, human trafficking, and modern-day slavery, especially for those working as domestic workers, those in construction, and those in agriculture. But Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, this is a solution that requires collaboration. So we look forward to stronger collaboration among the East African member states on this topic. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, 2021 has been declared the International Year for the Elimination of Child Labor by the UN General Assembly. In this context, we welcome the efforts by the government, with support from ILO and FAO and the UN family, to develop essential frameworks such as the National Child Labor Policy, which will be launched today, and its action plan. We also recognize the fact that they are linked and aligned to the NDP 3 and the SDGs to SDG 8, which calls on the global community to take immediate and effective measures to eradicate forced labor, end modern slavery and human trafficking, and secure the prohibition and elimination of the worst forms of child labor. Your action as a nation is particularly important to the 2 million Ugandan children aged between 5 and 17 years who are reported to be engaged in some sort of child labor, as they constitute 14% of all children in this nation. According to the Ugandan Household Survey, poverty, high population growth, dropout from school, HIV, and becoming an orphan are the main causes. As I conclude, allow me to convey a word of thanks. Thanks to the market women who slept in the marketplace to the COVID-19 lockdown. Thanks to the teachers who have kept our children educated. Thanks to the health workers who've been away from home and worked so hard. Thanks to the farmers who fed this nation and all of us in it. Thanks to the humanitarians, to the micro-enterprises who through challenging times kept working. I also wish to congratulate the Ministry of Labor, Gender and Social Development, who with support from the UN International Labour Organization is conducting a study on the impact of COVID-19 on labor, employment, and productivity. It is our hope that this will lead to a national employment strategy for Uganda, with an initial target of creating 50,000 dignified jobs across the country by 2025. In the meantime, we will continue to support our apprenticeship programs and the identification of job opportunities in key sectors, especially for women and youth. So on behalf of the United Nations system in Uganda, I pledge our continued support to the workers, the employers, the government, through our Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework 2021-2025. Together, let's create a world of work with justice and dignity for all in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic. I thank you for your attention.
Your Excellency, the President and President-elect of the Republic of Uganda, may I request the gathering to welcome you once again to this very important occasion through a thunderous welcome. Your Excellency, may it please you once again to know the members today that came here to bless this occasion with their presence. We have His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda. Please stand up. Your Excellency, we have the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament. We have Your Lordship, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Uganda. Your Excellency, we have the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Have Your Lordship, the Deputy Chief Justice. Just step so. Your Excellency, we have the Right Honorable First Deputy Prime Minister. Your Excellency, we have the ministers that are present today. Minister Estambayo for the Presidency, Minister Mluri Mukasa for the Public Service, as well as the State Minister for Public Service, who is also present. Your Excellency, we have the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, headed by the Minister Frank Tumwebaze. We have in the same ministry the Honorable Peace Motuzo, who is the Minister of State for Women and Gender. We have Honorable Sarah Kanyike, who is the Minister in charge of Elderly and Disability. Your Excellency, we have Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, headed by Her Excellency Rosa Malango. We have the members of Parliament, and here I'll request your indulgence to mention Honorable Alinaiche Rakajara, Honorable Margaret Rabushaija, Honorable Agnes Kanihira, Honorable Sam Liamoche, and Your Excellency, allow me also here and now to convey the apology of Right Honorable Charles Bakabulindi for the workers, who is not here with us, but the members of Parliament for the workers are all ably represented in person. Your Excellency, we have the service chiefs that are here, the UPDF, police, and prisons. Your Excellency, the religious leaders have also been represented in this very important occasion. Your Excellency, we have representatives of government institutions, especially the workers and the employers. Here we have the Permanent Secretary, Chibenge. Please stand up with your team. We have your bad man, Honorable Martin Wandela. We have the Commissioner and Assistant Commissioner, all present in person. Your Excellency, we have the members of the Industrial Court. Can you kindly stand up for recognition? Judge of the High Court, kindly stand up for recognition, Madam. Thank you. Your Excellency, we have, in a special way, I would like to convey the apologies of the Honorable Lukutana, who is not right here with us, but is the Minister of State for Labor and Industrial Relations. Your Excellency, you will be aware that we have just lost one of our own, the comrade, Honorable Kasamba. May I request you, Your Excellency, to stand up for a few minutes with the delegates here to remember the soul of our departed comrade. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Your Excellency, today the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development has organized two functions. One, the youth are right now gathered at Makerere University, both physically and visual, to deliberate and discuss ways and means of reducing youth unemployment in the country. This is a new innovation, and I promised them as I was launching it this morning that I'll convey their regards to you. Your Excellency, we are also here to remember the workers that you have stood for, especially during the time of COVID. You personally went down to analyze workplace by workplace. You went ahead to advise on means of reducing COVID, workplace by workplace. Your Excellency, being the #1 worker in this country, we thank you. And that's the hand clap that you hear, Your Excellency. May it please you, Your Excellency, now for me to invite the Honorable Frank Tumwebazi to come and address this gathering, and thereafter I'll request you, Honorable Frank, to invite His Excellency the President to address us thereafter. Thank you.
His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency the Vice President, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, His Lordship the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Right Honorable First Deputy Prime Minister, Her Excellency Rosa Malango, on behalf of the UN, Honorable colleague ministers, Honorable members of Parliament, elect and current, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, I add my voice to formally congratulate you and the NRM government party for the resounding victory and for the mandate yet to come and run government for another 5 years. We congratulate you, sir, for the leadership and for always leading us to victory. We celebrate this day, sir, not just create another platform for speeches, but to celebrate and recognize the efforts of the workers in their various categories, the formal workers in offices, the informal workers in gardens, in chambers, in production workshops, the union workers, the non-unionized workers, and all those that devote and contribute their efforts to harness labor as a factor of production for the common good of society. So we congratulate the workers and we want to thank them for that. Let's give them a round of applause. Your Excellency, we thank you and the government you lead for always prioritizing good policy environments and programs for supporting job creation. And as the Minister of Gender, I am glad that with the support of government, we've been able to implement the Green Jobs Program, where we have had 5,624 to date Juakaris supported through provision of business toolkits, green technology, and green skilling skills. We've also been able to undertake a national apprenticeship and graduate volunteer scheme. This is in order to address the challenge of skills mismatch among young people, the ministry, and we get support from ILO and UNDP. This is piloting apprenticeship in the tourism and hospitality sector. The ministry is implementing a graduate volunteer scheme where graduates are placed as volunteers in different workshops to gain employable skills and work experience. With your support, sir, and the government, we are implementing the Youth Livelihood Program, which has been running for some time. And to date, the program has registered 247,683 youth who have been supported directly with interest-free loans without any hassles of collateral. The same model has been under the Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, which has supported 14,000 projects of small entrepreneurial women with a total number of 166,000 beneficiaries who have also received interest-free loans with no requirement for security. And why we believe these programs are effective, you see how people are able to pay the rate of recovery. Your Excellency, the Minister of Gender, in response to the concern of Honorable Yomochi on behalf of the workers, working with our partners, IOM and ILO, we are trying to promote ethical practices of recruitment of our people, especially the migrant workers. We note some cases that happen of mistreatment of distressed workers, and we are undertaking the following. One, we are reforming the requirements for the licensed companies. We will need them to increase their insurance bond or the money they place with the Bank of Uganda before they get a license, to ensure that if a worker they have taken gets a situation that is a distressed one, then we have funds to call on to create that person. We are also, of course, trying to seek the support of Parliament and Cabinet to put more money in training. If we cannot stop, then we must facilitate. For you to be proud of an export, it must not be raw material, it must be a process to a skilled one. So now that we are seeing the external labor growing, we need to invest more in skilling of our youth, what they call pre-departure. We cannot continue to export raw labor, which definitely does not become appealing to the employers out there. By and large, sir, we have had good relations in our tripartite. The tripartite is the employer, employee, and government. I want to thank the employers under the Federation, represented by Engineer Silva. I want to thank the employers, represented by the unions, NOT and COFTU. When the pandemic affected the country like it did elsewhere, we had our tripartite meeting. We discussed how we can achieve a win-win between the workers and the employees, because nobody had foreseen the pandemic consequences. I want to thank you that you accepted our guidance, much as there could have been effects of termination in some cases, but by and large, our dialogue resolutions were heeded too, and I congratulate you. Your Excellency, with those few remarks, allow me, sir, now to invite you to address the gathering. I thank you.
His Excellency the Vice President, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, His Lordship the Chief Justice, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, all the other leaders of government, labor, religious leaders, and members of the diplomatic corps. One of the subjects we need to improve is geography. Because when we talk of solutions, we should know where we are. Where is Uganda? Is Uganda in Europe? Or in Asia? Or in Latin America? Now, if Uganda is here in Africa, then please don't copy too much what people are talking about, doing this and that, because that was part of the problem we had, especially us who dealt with, for instance, security, army. How is it that we built an army at low cost to defend Uganda all these years without the United Nations? How? If you study carefully the way we did it, it's because we did it our own way. Now, coming to the issue of jobs, we are going to create the jobs. The problem is that there's reluctance to grasp our advice, which has worked, because this advice has worked. We have proof that it has worked, but where it has worked, people, many actors don't look there, they look all sorts of places. The jobs are there, but the jobs will only come in big numbers if we listen to NRM's principle number 3, socio-economic transformation. There are 4 principles of the NRM. Patriotism. I have not had anybody challenge this. Say, you are wrong here, you should. Patriotism. That's number 1. I don't have time to go into them here. Pan-Africanism. Those 2 deal with the issue of the market. Patriotism consolidates the market in Uganda. Pan-Africanism looks at the market in Africa. How will you create labor if you don't have market? How will you create enough jobs? They had written something here, but I will not read it. I will just tell you what I think. This one was saying, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to see you here. No. So, principle number 1, principle number 2, patriotism, Pan-Africanism. That addresses the issue of market. If enterprises have got where to sell what they produce, they will grow and create more jobs. I'll speak more about this issue in the coming days. We can't go on joking like this, endlessly going in circles. So, this socio-economic transformation for Africa to change, because societies have changed in Europe. In Chenkwanzi, I was telling those MPs who were there how in 1789, France had 4 social classes: the aristocrats, the bourgeoisie. I no longer hear people using those words. The bourgeoisie meaning the middle class, the proletariat. I'm glad you are singing the international here. Please give me that song in words. I want to sing it also. The tune is very nice. The proletariat, meaning the working class, and the peasants. This was 1789. If you go to France now, you will not find the peasants. Peasants are no longer there. They have disappeared. Here, you are preserving peasants. Somebody was a peasant, he produces another peasant. How will you create jobs? Seriously. So that's why the NRM says you must deal with socio-economic transformation as a principle, but also as a strategy. Not just talking, and copying people who have already done their own things differently. So, if you understand that target of socio-economic transformation, then we have advised you. And please, if you have better information, tell us. Because our advice is in writing, black and white. It is in the manifesto of 1996. It was in the manifesto of 1996. In all these manifestos, we are putting those issues there. And in all the other speeches and publications. The sectors are 4. Sector number 1, commercial agriculture with ekibaro, with chura. Chura, those who don't know our languages. You must do commercial agriculture with ekibaro. If you don't know the Bantu language, then you say chura. If that one doesn't help you, then you say Aymar. That is artisanal. If that one doesn't help you, you say Otita, Rugubara. In case you want to speak Swahili, unasema hesabu. Don't kutomera, don't do just things. Oh. So sector number 1, make sure all the people you have influence over go into commercial agriculture with ekibaro. That is sector number 1. That will create jobs. The jobs you are talking about. That will create jobs. When we were in Chenkwanzi, we brought testimonies. Like the man called in Nyakana near Fort Portal, who was a district councillor, but he was no longer a councillor. He had no job, but he embraced our advice. When I advised them, they listened. He's now in the dairy and poultry. So he has created a job for himself and his wife, whom he's paying 1.3 million shillings per month, much better than they were earning in the council. And now he's employing another 15 people. So he has created 17 jobs, including, if you include his. The other day I put on television a man from Moyo, a reverend, a priest, who has created about 48 jobs through growing mangoes. So there are 9 million homesteads in Uganda. Let's say 2 million are in the towns. Let's forget about the towns first. let's say 7 million are in the rural areas. If all of them, those who have land, if all of them go commercial, assuming they all have land, even 1 acre, because Nyakani is on 1 acre, if they all go commercial the way we are advising them with the Chivaro, 7 million families, each one not creating 15 jobs like in Nyakana, just 10 jobs. That's 70 million jobs. Where will you get? You will not have the workers. There will be so many jobs that you have no people to do them. And that's what happened in the past. Because in the past, during the colonial times, how did the Banyarwanda come here? Banyarwanda and Barundi. Here in Central, the people who run around that they are Baganda, many of them are our Banyarwanda people. How did they come? They came because there were jobs here which had no people to do them locally. And that was during that time in the colonial times. Because Uganda is so rich. That rich economy which the British had created, the one around coffee and cotton, it had no people to do jobs. So people came from Rwanda, from Burundi. That's how they came here. If you go to Kayunga, there is a whole sub-county called Busana. It is populated by our people from South Sudan, called Kuku. They are the ones who are there, the whole sub-county. What did they come to do? To work in the sugar cane, mainly. And the attraction was this ritual commercialization by the British of coffee and cotton. Yeah. If you go to Jinja, you'll find there so many non-Basoga there, Jinja town. How did they come? They came just because of the few factories that were there first, because of the electricity. So, we can create jobs by turning the hydro land, which we are misusing, for called a chida chonka, working only for the stomach, going commercial. This is number one. Please. I listened for the message of the workers, I didn't hear them, and they are all NRM, nobody mentioned that. I didn't hear you saying, you as NRM has said, I didn't hear. So since I didn't hear, I'm now telling you, because I'm here. Because this is the time to bring out our manifesto in these meetings. What is our medicine? I am firm for this medicine because it has worked. And where people have listened, it has worked. So I have no shyness to firmly tell everybody that this is the way to go. And we can't go on wasting time. The second sector that will create jobs is industries. This one we have said. I said in the campaign, this is what I was saying all the time. Industries, factories. And I told you in the campaign that the factories have created now 700,000 jobs. These are the ones Ryomok is talking about. Ryomok is saying that because we have got more workers now, we should have more MPs for the workers. Then we shall end up with a rally rather than a parliament. You have to go and meet at Kororo as a rally. These 5 seats were simple because the Welike, he's a worker, but he has been elected as a Mungoko. Is that not what I heard? Yes. The other 5 seats are just do you know that I'm a Christian or you don't know? You know, when I was baptized in 1947, I was very young, but I could follow. Mr. Kaguta carried me like this. I was 3 years, but I think there was a crowd. I was going to be 3. There was a crowd, a child of 3 may not. So Kaguta carried me, and then this fellow put some water here. And in the Nyankore, he said, Akanaka bonera kaharuguru, Akarukore kensino rango, Nguataumugana vya Kristo. This is an outward sign to show. I can't translate the Nyankore in English because English is very poor. And Suno rango, I don't know how they translate it in English, to show the whole world or something. Huh? All and sundry. Oh, okay, that's what it that I have entered Umiganaria Christo, the Exuvocha Christo. The, how do you say it in English? Huh? In English, but you get about here. The Exuvocha Christo. The flock. Okay, the flock. So, the 5 seats, Ryomoki, were just the water they put on me here. How much value was in the water? Not much, but it's a symbolic recognition. But we cannot say, but because you can move to the mainstream, like Werike did. You can go from this special interest to the constituency. So the constituency expands because it is the mainstream. The other one is just symbolic. Otherwise, the seats will be too many. But the second sector where jobs can be created is industries. I was looking at the figures of 1969. How many Ugandans were working in the factories? I think there were only 36,000. You go and check how many Ugandans were working in factories in 1969. Only about 30-something thousand. But now, 700,000. So this proves that if we get more factories, we shall create more jobs. Because we have already gone from a small figure to a big figure. And the services, the sector number 3 is services. Hotels, transport. There, before the corona, we were at 1.3 million. Then 4th sector is ICT. Ebyuma bya karimagezi. So, if you grasp this, then everybody, every stakeholder should be working to if you have a difference, you point out that no, here you are wrong. There is another sector which you have forgotten. You tell us exactly, why don't you push this? If this is correct, why don't you push it? Why do you go on? Now, if it is not correct, what have we forgotten, or what should we change? Because the issues you are talking about are simple tactical issues. They are not strategic issues. You are talking about the strategic issues. So the moment we agree on this, that actually me, I don't believe in the export of labor. I don't agree on that. That is the Banyankore say Oshobaru Bushozakambe Nkwine. Banyankore, if you can't get the best wife, then you get the one who can. I really don't like. I can't translate. If I try translating in English, it will be rude, but in Runyankore, it's not so bad. I don't really support this idea of externalization of labor. countries which externalize labor, I think are countries which have missed something. And I have some proof. You see a lot of Bangladeshis abroad. You see Filipinos. Have you ever seen many South Koreans? The only South Korean I saw abroad was Ban Ki-moon. I have never seen South Koreans exported as labor, except Ban Ki-moon. What happened? South Korea is half the size of Uganda. But it has got a population of 60 million, I think, something like that. It still has got a bigger population than Uganda. But you don't see them roaming all over the world looking for jobs. So what did they do? Me, I'm more for the South Korea approach. But in the short run, Camping Queen, the other one, Nyankole solution of saying that what can I do, Munangi? That one, actually somebody wrote a confidential something recently talking about the corruption in the export of our children, that there is big corruption there, because one of the controls was that the labor companies had to be owned by locals. And the control there was that if the locals mishandle our children, we can prosecute them. But apparently somebody, you people, you have allowed foreigners to open companies here. Now the problem is, this one who wrote to me, a whistleblower, the problem he was saying was that for these foreigners, even if they make a mistake, how do you punish them? Because they are not here, they are outside. So somebody wrote to me something like that. So in the meantime, as we really work on our own plan, to create enough jobs for our people here. Japan, these people of yours who go to do HAO in Japan, why? Japan is about the same size as Uganda, slightly bigger, with a population of 127 million people. But they all have jobs in Japan, and surplus jobs remain for our people to go there. These are the best practices which we should look at. So the moment we stick to these 4 sectors and know that they are the source of jobs, and we work to make sure that they work easily. For instance, I've been telling our wonderful Minister of Finance, please, when you want to tax industry, call the industries and discuss with them. Don't impose taxes on them. But they don't do that. But the good thing is that I put my things in writing. I normally put things in writing. So, in this Kisanja, we are really going to talk seriously among ourselves. The politeness will not be there. Because we are wasting a lot of time. So once we agree on these 4 sectors as the sources of jobs, commercial agriculture with Echibaro, industries, services, and ICT. Then the next issue we struggle with are the markets. That's why we need to engage our brothers in Africa, to consolidate the markets. Now, the other time I was talking about tarmacking the roads in Congo. Now, some people do not understand this. Why do you tarmac the roads in Congo when there are some roads here which are not done? By tarmacking the roads in Congo, I will actually get more money to come and do the ones here. Because me, I've spent 60 years of my life studying these issues of Africa, of Uganda. That's why I can boldly say this, and most of the time it will work. So the issue of markets. Then once we consolidate the African market, or do as much as we can, because we may not do everything, because there are so many mistakes in Africa which are caused by wrong decisions, insecurity, what. But if we do what we can, and we maximize benefits from the African market, then we start looking for the external markets. The one is in Europe and so on. And there, the issue of quality comes in, the quality of our products. Because we can have markets in other parts of the world. We have got AGOA with the United States. I negotiated it with Mr. Clinton. And our supporters in the US have been supporting it ever since. AGOA, it is there. 6,000 products can access the American market, quota-free, tax-free. So that market is there. The European Union, China, the African market. Algeria wanted to take all our milk, but they had a problem of foot and mouth, which the Banyankore have maintained in Ankara as part of their conservation effort. The Banyankore are conserving foot and mouth disease. Because they heard that there is conservation. So they conserve the disease there. Then the next important thing is to help these sectors is infrastructure. The roads, the electricity, the railway. If it was not for our corrupt and confused people who just go behind us and do cause distortions. Like, for instance, the ones who signed Bujagari. Without my knowledge, I've been here in this government all these years. I had given them guidance on the issue of what they were calling AES, American Energy something. The company, an American company. That please, you can develop a private power station, but don't go beyond 4.9 cents. We signed in the agreement. There was a young white boy called Wright, Mr. Wright. He was the one representing that company. They went behind me. I didn't know. And they signed Bujagari. Very expensive. This is the one now distorting our prices. Now, you, the labor unions, you don't talk about this. You don't use your numbers to fight these mistakes. Because the power from Narubare is 1.5 cents, American cents. The one of Chira is like 1-point-something cents. The one of Isimba is 4-point-something cents. The one of Karma will be 4-point-something, 4.8. But the one of Jagari, when it started, was 13 cents. So we have been struggling with that mistake caused by these wonderful people. Against my express advice. I think now Bujagali Power has got to 8 cents or something like that. Then they went behind and then brought to something called Umeme. Umeme. What is this for? A private company looking for profits. You make it a middleman between the generation of electricity and the final consumers, including the factories, your factories which you want to create jobs. What's this? What are you looking for? You told me when it had already happened. Owere is good at post-mortem. He should be employed at Mulago in the mortuary. If you had told me before, I would never have allowed it. I didn't know. So we are now, the electricity is now cheap at source, at generation, except for this Bujagali. The problem is that a middleman called Umeme comes in the middle. And then the other concessions, they are like as if they are sick. You look at somebody, you think he's sick. What are you looking for? Do you care for your country? So the war I'm having now is that no. For the industrial parks, and I want you to support this. You write it down in your minutes. But when you came to Entebbe, an old man told you that now the power for industrial parks will go straight from generation transmitted direct, not through Umeme. Oh, Umeme will collapse. If it collapses, my mother died and I buried her. Also, Mr. Kaguta died. People die and the society goes on. So if Umeme dies, that's their mistake. So, if you say you have got labor unions, what? Now Owere said that he saw the dead body and announced it. The person was already dead. You should have told me, you should have a research desk. Even in that ministry of yours, of labor, you should have a research desk. We should be looking at, should be auditing those policies before they happen. So no, this one will slow down. Will slow down our process of creating more jobs. You see, a man like Biden, every week he's talking about, we have created more jobs, we have created, the American leaders. They're always talking about that. So, how could these policy distorting measures, of course, for me, they went behind me. Because they could plead innocence if I had not guided them on American energy. AES, which came first, I'm the one who brought them first. They wanted to develop a private power station. This was the first time. I listened to them carefully. They were from the Christian prayer breakfast, our prayer breakfast group. They were from that. And when I listened carefully, I said, no, there's no problem. You can develop private power, provided we agree on the issue of the final price. And they agreed. And by the end, we agreed on 4.9 cents per unit. That's what the last I heard about private power. This group of mine, they went with Bujagali, they didn't involve me. They know my address. I'm a well-known man in Uganda, but I never heard of this. We have already signed agreement. So, infrastructure, cheap infrastructure to lower the cost of doing business. Because Ryomoki was talking about the cost of labor. It's not only labor which pushes up costs, it is also electricity. Electricity and transport. Transport, solving the question of the railway. Then the next important thing that we should agree on, that one I don't think you disagree, it is on the issue of the quality of labor, which is what Ryomoki was talking about. The human resource development, education and health and skills. There I totally, Mzee Obote used to say, I am at one with you. That's what Mzee Obote would say. On that one, I am at one with Ryomoki. But then, Ryomoki entered some area where he needed some consultation. He said the research has shown that lower wages don't attract investments better than, although he spoiled it, he made it, you know, Ryomoki sometimes knows how to spoil things. Because he said, poor labor conditions. No, I'm not in favor of poor labor conditions. The labor conditions can be good. Collective labor conditions, housing, medical care, institutional education for the children of the worker. Those can be worked on so that the worker and his family get, you take off those pressures from him. But the question is the level of wages. The facts of Mr. Ryomoki are not correct, because in the last 43 years, since China opened in 1978, when China opened up, China was able to attract a lot of investments from the West to China because of lower labor costs, for sure. That's what made China to grow so fast. And you remember Mr. Trump was you know what he was saying? China is stealing our jobs, China, you remember the campaign. So there's no doubt that if you address the issue of minimum wage carelessly, by imitating, just imitating, that's how industries left America, they left. Why isn't, when we were in the school system, this city in London called Liverpool and Manchester were the center of textiles. Textile industry was in Manchester, was in Liverpool. You go and show me a single textile factory in UK today. It's not there. So factories went away. So please be careful. Factories went away from Western Europe, North America to China because of lower wages. Now, the thing that has happened now, which is what you should now look at, even in Chankwanz we didn't conclude it, were talking about ICT. There was a lady, a girl from Makerere, Dr. Nabukenya. She was talking about ICT. We didn't conclude that. What is now the new development is AI, artificial intelligence. This is because the only answer for the West to China and to us, because even jobs, when the labor costs in China started going up, factories have come here. Before the corona, factories were running out of China, coming to Ethiopia, coming to Uganda. There were two destinations because the salaries in China have now gone up a bit. So they are shifting, they are coming here. Now the answer by the West is AI, artificial intelligence, where they are now trying to make machines which are intelligent, which can do the work of human beings, so that we no longer have workers. So, Oweri, I'm very sorry for you. I think you are an endangered species. So what I need to do is train my grandchildren that they master AI, and we forget about, but we shall not forget about Oweri. He will not work, stay at home, we'll give him welfare, give him free money. Because that's what is happening now. In order for the West countries to survive, they have invested so much in AI, artificial intelligence, to get machines which can do the work of man, but at a lower cost. Because they could not compete on the issue of salaries. So please, study this matter seriously. Don't just run around and bring half-cooked information. For the last 40 years, since 1978, lower costs have worked for China. And they were beginning to work for us. But a new phenomenon has come. First of all, this corona came in and caused the problems. But also the issue of AI. That's what we should study very, very closely. So the minimum wage, I'm ready to discuss, but we must discuss all these issues. And what I'm appealing to you is to you fellows to use your support, use your political support to support. Let's lower the cost of electricity. You helped me to fight the war with electricity. We lower the cost, we work on the railway, the standard gauge railway, and also the narrow gauge. We can repair the narrow gauge in the short run as we build the standard gauge, so that we lower the cost of transport. And then you support my policy on UDB. We solve the cost of money, interest rates for factories at least. I will not give you money for nightclubs and so on. That one you can struggle on your own. But for manufacturing, for agriculture, UDB should be the one to give affordable loans. So if we solve the problem of the cost of money, the cost of transport, and the cost of electricity, we can now confront our people with confidence. So now that you have got lower this and lower that, you can put up the salaries without too much risk. But just talking like that, the electricity costs are still high, transport costs are still high, the cost of money is still high. Then you say, oh, please. This is not serious. Even this business of health insurance, you need to study it very carefully, because Mzee Murwana had pointed it out long ago. So all these add to the few employers whom you have. The few employers. So let's target the NRM people who support the NRM. Let's target low costs of electricity, remove all the bottlenecks, because the generation is now there. At least the power stations are there. But the problem are these distortions which were infiltrated by the crooks, which we need to put out. And then the cost of transport and the cost of money. We need to put more money in UDB. Or Jangore has now gone to 12%. If we give her more money, she can go to 10%. Yeah. Then we shall have sort of the three big inputs in cost. We cannot be able to confidently talk about labor. Now the NSSF law. I was not following the details of that debate. But when I followed, I now found that the people who save put in very little. I have not heard your Moki telling just that. Because the saver puts in 5%, I think, of his salary, 5% of his salary. The employer puts in, is it 10% or 15%? Yes. The employer puts in more money than the saver. Then NSSF invests this money on behalf of the saver and gives him how much? 10% or what? Yes. So this money is actually not very much the saver's money. It is more, yes, he has put in 5%, but this money is more from the employer and also from the fund. The fund has invested the money for this person. That's how it has added another, is it 10% or what? So, when you, that's why I am here. God has kept me here. I want to invite the Ryomokis and everybody, and Kunihira Nachiwara. Tumenyimanya gabanyoro banange. Elinya ly'omwana oli Kunihira, not Kanhira or something. Oli omusikino wamweta Kunihira Ruhanga, to the fear of the Lord. Ticho Morinyoro. Okunihira tukutina Ruhanga. Hope. Oh, Okunihira is to hope. Oh, you see now how I stopped reading the Nyoro Bible in 1957 when they brought the Nyankuri Chigawan. So you all come and I really discuss with you because the facts are here. So if that is the case, if this person is putting in 5%, the employer is putting in 10%, then your fund goes and okubapakarisa nebapakariza omuruganda mwekiri ekyo omuruganda kivayo bulungi fund nezazamu bakwita kuzazamu. Yes. If the fund is the one going to multiply, that's really the issue. You need to discuss it. So when you say this, how will it affect the Kuzaza now? How will it affect the Kuzaza is to multiply. Because what I'm telling these people is that what I have found, I didn't know I had to do homework. These people are quarreling about this money. How is the money? That's how I was told. Number one, the saver is putting in 5%. Number two, the employer is putting in 10%. Then the fund takes this money and invests it. And that's what we are calling Okuzaza, to multiply. It earns another, let's say, 10% for the money. And over the years, it accumulates all this. So, okay, you can debate it. But suppose we find that if we agree to the medium-term access, then the fund will no longer be able to earn 10% for this person. It will earn only 5%. We should, I have not heard anybody pointing this to the workers. If we access this money mid-time, will it still earn 10% for these people, or will it earn 5%? I don't mind. For me, I don't mind. But the people should know that because you are reducing on the amount that is being invested. So if you are reducing, you are likely to get, I don't know the implication. We should study this. But I'm now telling the workers, abakozi mwenna abari ku radio abampuliriza simanyi oba abakulu bali babategeezezza nti okujjayo ssente wakati w'emyaka kiyinza kutema ku magobo gammwe. So if we agree on that, tikirina nsonga, it has no problem, then we move ahead. No injury. But I have not heard anybody. Have you explained this to the people? You couldn't hear. Have you explained to them? Oh, you come and tell them now. Using my free space. Just people creating, oh, tension, what the tension is for what? Huh? abakozi bakimanyire nti amagoba gabo gasobora okukeha bazo muri nyoro abono bamunyoro nyoro huh? Hello, put the microphone for us. Who is the man of the microphone? Have you analyzed that it may reduce the returns?
Thank you, Your Excellency. What happens with NSSF? When you save, you put 5%, the employer adds on 10%. It becomes your entitlement. It does not continue to belong to the employer.
No. It belongs to you, but I was just saying, I'm not saying that it belongs to you, but the one who does arukugweta, ukugweta omurinyoro?
Saving.
Kugweta. Okay, let's use the kugweta to like.
Owakuha.
can call it even metaphorically, you can call it okugweta. Akwaide. Know how to kwa more.
Employer na kuhamoa.
Then the ensaho.
Sente zawe ni za accumulatinga mu NSSF.
Ensaho ne kuzalizamu.
Buli mwaka na bakwa interest. Maybe a 10%, rundi 9, rundi 12.
Okay, now, ekikaguzo nikigira kuturukutia sente zino hagati y'emyaka ntuba ntiyatunga amagoba ngugamu rundi ekyo mukibalizeho
investment nesigara eryemu na interest eyokubetungire mu mwaka ogu nesigara eryemu ekisobola kuhindukaho kakuba obeire nosavinga oyinayo 20 million okaihayo 20% of the 20 million balance yawe nija kusigarayo mu NSSF nibasigara nibakuha amagoba according to how they have saved.
I'm not sure about that. Kaso kibaliza hamuzindaro abantu bachurire. Yomoke, what do you say about that? You have been kare over muno. How what Kunhira is saying is that the withdrawal has no effect on the subsequent interest earnings.
Yeah, thank you very much, Your Excellency. We have analyzed that, and the truth, when the work gets a percentage of it, definitely the money remaining will be less. So yes, the interest will go down. We have analyzed that, Your Excellency.
Very good. So let's now know that. Let's when we meet. Now you see that you are not yet. So when we meet, we shall analyze this.
Okay, Excellency. Thank you, sir.
I doubt very much that you can reduce the amount and the fund still gives you the same level of interest. I doubt very much. Because where will they get the money from? Because see, they're investing this money. The more they invest, the more interest they give you. I suspect that when you reduce, you may get less interest. This is my suspicion. But let's confirm it. We are here. Yeah. Now, our daughter Marango, in your document, in those international documents, this child labor, I am here. I am a graduate of child labor. You have got a graduate here. Because I started working, family labor, in the family, I started working when I was 4, looking after the young calves. That was my job. So you need to be careful when you are adopting the Western things. You need to look at your society here. When you talk of child labor, are you talking of family labor? No. No, Mr. President. Do you clarify that in your documents? Yes, Mr. President. Because me, I started working when I was 4, looking after the young calves. When I became 8, I started now looking after the mature cows, following them up. By 8, I was actually milking, because, you know, those Banyankwere had a taboo. The woman was not supposed to milk a cow. It had to be a boy. So when my father sometimes would be attracted by the instinct of going to a party, I would be the only man at home, and these women, my mother, my aunt, you know, that I was 8. So my aunt had put me on her lap so that I milk. So, I'm a graduate of child labor, but this is, unless you are talking of employed labor or something like that, to be hired, then clarify it in your documents. Because if you just go on talking, and that's how we learn. That's how I became tough. I became tough because there's nothing I don't know. Even this army, when they were talking of army, it was nothing compared to what we were doing. Army work was a luxury. So, that child labor, especially if, but they were, because like you wouldn't carry a debe to go and collect water. For water, they will give you a kareku, a small calabash. You go and bring the small amount of water, what you can. So how do you link family labor, traditional family labor, which is educational for the children, with what you are talking about in the modern language? Please, you should sort it out so that it's not mixed up. So I think for now, the pledge for the workers' house. Oh, this is a big shame. A big shame. I'm actually embarrassed. I don't know why my people, if they could hide Bujagar from me, why would they not hide the workers' house from me? It is the same story. But I've got a new PPS now. There is some regime change. I hope the PPS will remind me and I fight this war so that these workers don't bring me extrani by crying for is this 10 billion or what? Supposed to be 2 billion or what? Something.
Your Excellency, it's 2 billion, one for Noto and one for coffee.
This is nothing. If I sell my bulls, I'm sure I can get that.
Yes, Your Excellency.
It's a big shame for nothing.
Yes, thank you very much.
So, with these few words, I congratulate all the... No. Before I conclude, curfew. Curfew. I don't know who was talking about curfew. The employer. Have you seen what is happening in India? In India, they don't have enough firewood. You know, the Indians also have an additional problem of burning dead people. If you see the burning of dead bodies in India, do you see it or you don't watch those TVs? Be careful. So for me, Ugandans, I appeal to you, let us maintain the status quo. Until we have immunized a minimum, they are talking of a minimum number of, they are talking of 5 million full immunization. I don't know whether it is exactly that, whatever the number is, the people above 50 and the ones who have got diabetes, who have got blood pressure, who have got other, I think there may be like 7 million. And we are getting the vaccine from India. Now they are stuck. They don't have any vaccine, but we are going to get vaccine from the Johnson one, and also Cuba. We are developing ours, but it may come towards the end of the year. Definitely, we are doing very well. We are moving very well, but we shall import to cover people for now. Then next year we can be able to do our own things. So I appeal to you. My strategy on this is to be on the safe side. Let's just first immunize a certain minimum number. I think it is maybe 5 million or 7 million. Then we can open up. You have seen that Mr. Biden has actually handled it well. He has now immunized more than 200 million something, and he has opened up, and the cases are going down. And when we see immunization, we mean 2 doses, not just one, except the one of Johnson. The one of Johnson, they say 1 is enough. But the others, like the one I got, it is half. I need to get another one, the booster. So please, that's our strategy. Let's immunize the minimum number, then we can talk of all these relaxations. Because a new variant is coming, I hear. The new clans from India, from South Africa, from Brazil. It's already here. Okay, so please don't play around. Even this, our friend Kasamba who died the other day, me, I didn't know that he had had corona in December. I didn't know. When I talked to one of the family members, that's how I came to know. Because apparently it seemed that corona, even when you recover, sometimes you get some other things. He had recovered from corona, but the one I talked to suspects, because they were saying that before that he had no problem at all, except the accident of the arm. But he had corona in December, he recovered, and now, but from that time that he remained weak, that's what somebody told me. And I have had this before. Even my people who are trying because we are working on the vaccine, but also on the therapeutic, the treatment. And my treatment people have delayed. And why did they delay? They delayed because they needed to get somebody who has just been infected, but whose internal organs are not yet damaged. So that corona is very dangerous. It can infect you even if you don't die from corona, but it damages the internal organs. And even if you recover, then you will now go on with the damaged. And the internal organs are the brain, the what. It's quite a dangerous disease. So that's why my people who are doing the therapeutic trial, they say, no, we must get somebody infected, but not yet, the organs are not damaged. Why? Because we want to see that he gets cured. Because the other one, even if the virus goes, he may still die from the other complications. And that's how our experiment delayed. There was a time when we had a few patients, but I hear the patients, the numbers are now coming up again in the hospital. So please, my appeal to Ugandans, let's be patient. We have urugero rw'Abaganda nti obwato bufa magoba. That the boat sinks when you are near the shore. You are seeing the shore, then the boat sinks. We should not sink when we are already seeing the shore. We have been like this for 1 year and 2 months. That's how we have lost a few people, 300 and maybe 40 something. So please, let's maintain it. I thank you and I congratulate everybody. Last year people were pessimistic. They didn't know how we would manage, but I told you we shall manage if we are disciplined. And we have managed. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. As we come to the end of this very important function, would request you, Mr. President, to accept to launch the National Action Plan on the elimination of child labor in Uganda in the period 2021-2025. And Mr. President, for purposes of clarity, in this particular National Action Plan, child labor is defined as work that is mentally, physically, socially, and morally dangerous and harmful to children, and also interferes with their schooling by depriving them the opportunity to attend school, obliging them to leave school permanently or prematurely. So can I request the company of Her Excellency Rosa Malango, the Minister Frank Tumwebaze, Mr. Stephen Opio from ILO, and Mr. Mitala, the Secretary to Cabinet and Head of Public Service, who constantly reminds us of the day and time he joined public service. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Allow me, Mr. President, to take the honor to invite the Speaker, Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, to join you as you launch the National Action Plan on the Elimination of Child Labor in Uganda 2021-2025. The Right Honorable, Your Excellency the Vice President, sir, I take the honor to invite you as well to join the President to launch the action plan. The Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Jacob Olanya, kindly step in. The Chief Justice, sir, your Lordship. The First Deputy Prime Minister, sir, General Moses Ali, kindly join in to launch this very important action plan. It's not part of the ordinary people. Very good. Can we give a hand clap to His Excellency the President? Thank you, sir, for launching the National Action Plan on the Elimination of Child Labor. Thank you so much. On behalf of the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, I would like to thank you, Mr. President, and the entire delegation here for attending the national celebrations to mark the International Labor Day with the theme, Enhancing Innovation for Increased Employment, Creation Labor Productivity for a Sustainable COVID-19 Response. Can we stand up to sing the national anthem, please?
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. When the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? But the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. It is we who plowed the prairies, built the cities where they trade, dug the mines and built the workshops, endless miles of railroad laid. Now we stand outcast and starving mid the wonders we have made, but the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions that they never toiled to earn. But without our brain and muscle, not a single wheel can turn. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. In our hands is placed a power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of atoms, magnified 1,000-fold. We can bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
As His Excellency leaves, I request you to observe departure in reverse order of arrival. Never mind if some of you arrived after him. Thank you. Lunch will be served. His Excellency has offered lunch. Kindly proceed to the reception area in the State House. I thank you.